Hello, we meet again. Tasty Snackies, back at it again with my semi-annual video talking about changes in Magic. Now, it's quite a boring topic, if you think about it, because there's changes that happen in Magic literally every freaking day. It's kind of the reason why I haven't really made that many videos talking about the changes in Magic, because it happens so often that it honestly just becomes exhausting discussing this kind of material over and over and over again and sharing my opinions of what I think really happens when it doesn't really matter. I don't really get that many views in the first place. It's not to say I'm not grateful for the viewers I get. I'm very grateful for the few hundred that still want to pay attention to me. But for the most part, just effectively repeating the same things of, oh, the world is falling. Oh, this isn't the Magic that I grew up with. It gets boring after a while, let's be honest. So by the title of the video and the first minute or so of this, you probably already guessed that we're going to be talking about the changes in Magic. If you've paid attention throughout the history of the game, what it started as in 1993 by Richard Garfield and whoever else, Mark Rosewater, I believe, and some other random ass people, to the game it is today, fundamentally different as it was 10 years after it was made and then as it was 10 years ago compared to today, which it's 2021, meaning that we're pretty much at the 10-year anniversary of me coming back into the game. And what I figured I wanted to kind of talk about with this video is talk about the changes that have happened, not necessarily in the last 10 years, but about the last 5 or so years. I have been making content on this channel semi-regularly for the past 5 years or so, back in 2016. That's when I really kicked things off into gear, and I've kind of tapered off since about 2018 or so. So we're going to talk about the changes that pretty much happened from 2016, but primarily between 2018 to 2021. And let's just get the elephant out of the room. This is something that I talk about on the internet quite often. I don't know if I've discussed it on this channel too much, but that's Wizards of the Coast CEO Chris Cox. Now, this man was brought in from Microsoft. I can't remember his role, but he was kind of a bigwig over there, and he was brought in as the CEO of Wizards of the Coast. Ironically, or not ironically, coincidentally, he was brought in right before Kaladesh was off the printing presses and put into production. I believe he started in April of 2016. And you know what? Kaladesh came out. And you know what came out with Kaladesh? Masterpiece cards. Those cards fundamentally changed how we open booster packs now in the future, with things like Mystical Archives and, the special features that they have in like Throne of Eldraine and pretty much every set where they make cool variations of cards. We have to thank Kaladesh for that, and the masterpieces and the absolute shit show that it was with the random 80 cards in 2 sets, and then they oversaturated the market. We wouldn't have what we had today if it wasn't for that fundamental change, and that was one of the biggest things that Chris Cox, and it might have been initiated by the rest of the development team before Chris Cox came on, but I just like to blame him because he's my favorite person to blame when it comes to the downfall of this game. I use the term downfall lightly because I don't think the game is in a worse state than it's ever been. Quite the contrary. I think Magic is the strongest that it's ever been. Honestly, I think the game, in where it's at and in terms of balance and how it's perceived by the community, not just Magic the Gathering, but by the average gaming community, is arguably in the best state that it's ever been. So before I go off on my list of all the major changes that have happened over the past 3 or 4 years that I haven't really taken the time to discuss, let's not ignore the elephant in the room. The entire year that was 2020, where we all stayed inside and were required to wear the coverings over our faces and be scared of a very potential dangerous threat out there, honestly sped everything up. No one was going to events anymore, so Wizards of the Coast took it upon themselves to initiate a lot of things, especially when it comes to design and the competitive aspect of the game, that have fundamentally changed than what it was back at even the end of 2019. And even 2018, but we already knew that especially competitive Magic was effectively metamorphosizing or evolving from what we grew up to be. So we'll go over that first. The competitive aspect of the game, at least when I first got back into Magic in 2010, 2011, I remember I was opening a sealed product that was from the Vault Dragons. It was what really pulled me back into the game. I was playing casually and I opened that, or I was playing casually up until that point. I bought the product because I thought it was really cool. I bought it for like $110, and that was like a big purchase back then. It still is today, but it was a big one back then. And all the contents inside, I absolutely love. That Shivan Dragon right there is the exact same one that I opened from the Vault Dragons, and it's part of the reason why Shivan Dragon is my favorite card of all time. But we're getting a bit off track. We're talking about competitive Magic. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because in that point in my relationship with Magic, that's when I began to pay attention to the Pro Tour scene and the Grand Prix scene, and climbing the ladder in order to get to the position where you can fight for that glory and you can play against the most intellectual people of the game in order to attain that level of status and grandeur in the community. However, throughout the years, little things have been changing. You know, the erosion of the block kind of removed block constructed from the Pro Tour format. That was one big change that a lot of people don't really want to acknowledge, but it really did. It kind of changed how the Pro Tour structure changed. And fundamentally, over the years, the Pro Tour pretty much was gotten rid of in favor of this Mythic Invitational that was directly coincided with Magic the Gathering Arena. Not to say that that's a bad thing. In fact, it might be a good thing in the long run, because what competitive Magic used to be compared to what it is now is kind of where it should have been in the beginning. This might be a hot take from, this channel is just full of hot takes, but I don't think people should be trying to vie for competitive Magic as a long-term career. You should be using Magic the Gathering and the championship level of the game as a platform to elevate yourself to do other things with your life. You know, maybe open up your own card shop, maybe write articles, maybe make YouTube content, do something, anything. But the return of investment that it takes for not only monetarily, but time-wise, and, travel, and the mental anguish, because, some players need to take fucking Adderall and stuff just to keep up with the competitive nature of the game, and that constant GP, PTQ grind just wasn't sustainable. And you can tell that through the turn and burn of a lot of different pro players that it just wasn't sustainable for a lot of the newer guys. And the old guard, they were able to stay on because they were locked into place. So competitive Magic changed over to this Mythic Invitational, and we got the MPL, the Magic Pro League. And Wizards of the Coast decided, we're going to run this the way that we want to run this. And that screwed over a lot of people, because it got rid of the path to that championship level in favor of Wizards of the Coast basically getting to pick and choose what it is that they want and what it is that they see fit for who they want to represent the game. Let's not get this twisted. The Pro Tour stands for the Promotional Tour, okay? It is a vehicle of advertisement for the game of Magic the Gathering. Nothing more, nothing less. In fact, it's the Grand Prix that are really what the common players, such as myself and you, are what we should be looking forward to. The Pro Tour is for the best of the best and the elite. That's because they want the best players to show off the newest, coolest cards so that people like you and me and other new players will buy those cards. No, for us, the dream is winning a Grand Prix. That's probably the most realistic kind of goal that someone like us could attain. And to this day, it's still something that I would like to try and do, but I don't really necessarily have the time or discipline to do so. But it's a great fantasy that I like to keep alive to myself. And with the dissolution of the Pro Tour and with everything happening in 2020, a lot of us were thinking we're never going to get that back. We're never going to get the Grand Prix or Pro Tour grind or PTQ or anything like that ever again. We'll be lucky if we can enjoy F&M as the way it is. But with the way things have been opening up, a lot of our cynicism and doubts have slowly been eroded, and a lot of us are looking forward to going out and playing again. I sure as shit am. I have a new modern deck. I have a red-green Eldrazi that I'm really excited to play. Fuck Standard. I'm never going to play Standard again, not even on Arena. I'll play Historic on Arena, but Standard is a fool's game at this point. I just can't stand that format. But Modern is where it's at, and I'm really looking forward to play it. And the way that they're readjusting how the pro scene works makes me want to play more. Not to be a pro player or anything, but just because it feels like the game and the developers of the game themselves are beginning to take it more seriously because they are beginning to understand which direction that they want to take it in. So I guess that segues into the fire design that we have been dealing with since Throne of Eldraine. I can't wait for Throne of Eldraine to leave Standard, even though I don't play Standard, but I'm just tired of people talking about it and tired of people discussing the explosion of design that we've had. We had really, really, really good cards in Throne of Eldraine and probably Ikoria. I haven't really paid attention all that much. I just know that I constantly have been hearing bans ever since 2018. I remember the Smuggler's Copter, Reflector Mage, and Emrakul the Promised End, and I believe in Modern Grave Troll and Jataxian Probe were all banned. I believe those were the cards that were all banned. I remember that day. I remember almost as vividly as I remember Splinter Twin. RIP Splinter Twin, you didn't deserve your ban. But the point that I'm trying to make is that ever since that point, we've just been getting assaulted, just absolutely obliterated with bans left and right. Some that make sense, some that don't. Again, rest in peace Rampaging Ferocidon, you did nothing wrong. Up to today, where, you know, we have to live with the fact that cards like Oko and Veil of Summer, and hell, Omnath. Omnath was in Standard for 2 or 3 weeks before it was banned. That is simply unacceptable, and I can't believe Wizards of the Coast said, this is a good idea. Let's put some booster packs, make people pay for these booster packs, and then ban the card outright. I remember Omnath was like a fucking like $30, $40, $50 card at that point, and then it got banned, and I gladly bought the extended frame Omnath for like $5. It was such a sweet deal, so thanks Wizards for banning that. But it sucks for people that really invested themselves into that, and they see this fire design and the way that Wizards of the Coast is just juicing these sets so that way people buy them, and then they outright pull the rug underneath them with these bans, and it's simply unfair. But that's the way that it goes. It's a lot better than it is in other games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Speaking of, I've been getting into Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot lately. That was my first card game love, but the way that Magic the Gathering has been handling their designs and bans reminds me a lot of how Yu-Gi-Oh! Does. Except the only difference is that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is arguably a lot more predatory in terms of targeting their competitive players and making the uber competitive cards super hard to find in short printing. At least Magic the Gathering doesn't do that yet, fingers crossed. So if everything is super broken and you can't play your cards, you know, your cards that come out for Modern or Pauper, like Fall from Favor or Hogak or what's that Mishra's card that like broke the Snow deck in half? I can't remember what it is. But if cards like that, which are being printed into Modern, end up getting banned, what about formats like Commander? Commander, by and large, is the most popular format in all of Magic. It has been for quite some time, and it really kicked up in the past year when people stayed at home and the only option they had left to play Magic was either Magic Online, Arena, or Spell Table, which was pretty much online Commander. And Spell Table, from what I understand, is still somewhat successful. I've played it a few times, and to get back to the point that I'm trying to make, Commander is what Magic is. You know, when Magic as a game, whenever Wizards of the Coast shuts down and no one is making cards for the game anymore, 10, 20, 30 years after the fact, you can probably still play Commander because it's a simple to understand concept. And to me, that's where the soul of Magic lies now and in the future, is that format. Sure, Wizards of the Coast prints things like, what's that card? Hull Breacher, I believe. The one that absolutely fucking broke the wheel deck in half and made it like super annoying to deal with and virtually unbeatable if you were able to wheel into more treasure tokens into another wheel, into another wheel, into another wheel, and then just destroy your opponents that way. Yeah, that's obnoxious. But for the most part, Wizards of the Coast, and again, fingers crossed, hasn't been developing too hard into Commander. They haven't been pushing the designs too hard into making it just obviously broken, again, aside from Hull Breacher. So hopefully things will continue the way that they do, because if they don't, Commander might be seen as taken less and less seriously and might be seen more as a joke in the future if we keep getting more situations like Hull Breacher, where people will have to juggle between playing Modern and Commander and Standard. That's kind of always been how it was before, but it will be definitely more so after the fact. So the next point that I want to make is that I'm getting old, man. I'm 30 years old. I'm going to turn 31 in September. It's kind of weird to think about, you know. I first played Magic the Gathering when I was 14, I believe. Either 14 or 15. It's been a very long time since I started playing this game. And something that I've come to realize as I was losing my mind on Twitter over the years is that Magic the Gathering doesn't really care about me anymore. They're marketing towards the young kids, you know, the people that are still trying to buy into the game, who are honestly much bigger whales than I ever could be at this point. And that's something that it took me a while to get over. And I'm seeing a lot of contemporaries around my age struggling to understand that Wizards of the Coast doesn't necessarily care about players like me anymore, because I'm locked in. I love Magic. As I said, I've been playing for damn near 2 decades at this point. I'm still probably going to be playing probably till the end of my life. So they don't need to continue marketing towards me, because I'm still probably going to play the game that I love. And so, you know, if they want to make all these marketing decisions towards young people, something that I don't understand and is way past me and I just don't entirely agree with, it's none of my business. You know, it's not something that I should really care about. And I don't think you who are watching should be either. Unless you're part of that demographic. You know, if it bothers you, then whatever, figure out a way to deal with it. But, you know, for us old fogies like myself, our time's come and gone. Either deal with it or get out. And to segue into that being Arena, you know, the biggest elephant in the room when it comes to Magic the Gathering, and people saying, oh, Arena is going to kill paper Magic. No, it's not. Magic the Gathering Arena is the most effective marketing tool towards the younger generation, the kids who are raised off of iPads and technology, you know. Phones are probably what they're on most of the time. I'm on my phone all the time. I'm recording this video with my phone right now. I have a very nice iPhone XR that plays Magic the Gathering Arena flawlessly, honestly. And there's a lot of young kids that are in the same shoes as me, and they spend a lot of their times on their phones, so it makes sense to market towards those people. You know, we've been asking for a mobile client to compete with Hearthstone for a long time, and now we finally have it. And some people are complaining about it, and at this point it's like, why? Why complain about Magic the Gathering moving into the future, adapting and evolving? If it didn't, the game will probably be dead at this point. A lot more dead than we think it would be. If Arena was not a thing, and it was just Magic Online and paper Magic, this virus probably would have killed the game. I'm not joking when I say that, but thankfully, because of things like Arena releasing on the phone, it has exploded in popularity, which thank God. And, you know, there's a part of me that absolutely hates Arena to my core, and the way that the game is designed with, what's it called? Engagement optimization matchmaking, not skill-based matchmaking, but engagement optimization matchmaking, where the developers of the game have developed it so the way that you get paired with players is designed to keep you in the game for as long as possible, so you're more likely to buy booster packs or decals for your deck, or, you know, other forms of customization, which, hey, you know what, fine, it's a free-to-play game. I don't agree with it, but again, it's just the way that it is, so deal with it or get over it. However, one thing that bothers me about Magic to this day, it bothered me all the way since I first started this channel and still does today, is the amount of influence that Twitter has over the development of the game and how it's perceived to the outside world, particularly the gaming community as a whole, through like the Kotaku kinda, or the more mainstream. I use Kotaku as like, because they're a major news source, and who are some other ones? Dexerto, and there's some other people that have been featuring Magic the Gathering a lot lately because they want to be taken more seriously as an esport. And as so, a lot of people on Twitter or Magic the Gathering's marketing team has been paying attention to Twitter more so than they have the more common average market research type thing where they would do beforehand. And, you know, it's understandable. They're trying to reach younger people and different demographics. Fine, I get it. But a majority of the people on Twitter usually have a mental illness or their egos are so inflated that they can't see the forest for the trees. Let's be honest here. Most of the people on Twitter are either fucking stupid, crazy, or bored. And so they'll do whatever they can to cause up drama, to talk about something, and they'll drag people through the mud. Still to this day, people that don't deserve it get dragged through on social media all the time. Erin Campbell, that's the first person that I can think of very recently that got dragged through the mud, and I don't believe that she deserves what she did. Then again, it's not really my place. I mean, like, I understand some of what's going on, but I just don't think it's fair the way that she's being treated. But regardless of how I feel, it doesn't matter. The fact is that people are still being dragged through the mud because they're giving these people on Twitter more power than they deserve. And there are some people like Aaron Forsyth who just straight up deleted their Twitter, which, you know, good for him. I deleted my Twitter too. I deleted mine about a month before him. So I beat you there, Aaron. I highly doubt you're watching this video, but I beat you, Aaron. God, Twitter's such a cancerous cesspool. It's one of the main reasons why I stopped making videos as much, is because I kind of got pulled into the mind fuck that is social media. There's one thing that you want to take away from this video: avoid social media like the plague. It's a fucking shit show disaster. Another big issue that I've been thinking about a lot over the past 5 or so years is we just keep getting more products more often. Especially when you look at the past few years with Secret Lairs, we're just getting shit shoved down our throats all the time. Especially with stuff like Secret Lairs, and how you can comparatively buy singles for arguably the same price, but directly from the manufacturer themselves. Not even Amazon, you just buy directly from Wizards of the Coast on their site. Is a backhanded, scummy move. I don't like it. I'll never buy a Secret Lair ever, because I'd rather support my local game store. I would rather support a Chinese proxy developer of cards more than I would support Wizards of the Coast Secret Lairs. Ever. There's no fucking reason why I would ever buy that. I'd rather buy booster packs and run my luck, or buy singles on TCG Player, or get Chinese proxies, just because the ethos and the goal behind Secret Lairs I find to be really scummy, and it's just a practice that I won't support. Granted, that doesn't mean it's not going to be successful. It's very successful. It's why they continue to do it, because it makes financial sense as to why a lot of people buy Secret Lairs. If you buy them, I don't care. It makes sense, you know? I don't blame you if you want a cool Thoughtseize, or you want the Godzilla lands, or if you want the Phyrexian Praetors. Those things are actually really fucking cool. I won't deny you that. It's just something that I don't support. But again, it doesn't matter what I think, because that's the direction that Wizards of the Coast is moving. And they have to appease shareholders. If they don't appease shareholders, then bad things will happen to the game. So, whatever. Maybe they'll end up growing too big for what's good for them, but we'll reach that ship whenever it comes to shore. So, whatever. The other thing that's been bothering me over the past few years is not the erasure, but Wizards of the Coast forgetting the small local game store. Now, they're still prioritizing the highest echelon of local game stores, but when it comes to the lower class, the more clubhouse kind of game stores where, you know, the clientele isn't really that big and it's kind of more of like a cool corner store hangout for a lot of people, those types of people have had it the hardest, especially in the last year of this lockdown. A lot of those businesses ended up having to shut their doors permanently, as with a lot of other businesses that have nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But the fact of the matter still stands, the direction that Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro has been taking the game over the past few years has screwed over local game stores to the point where the last 12 months or so, 16 months or so, it's kind of like when Bane grabbed Batman and broke him over his knee. It's pretty much that. Those businesses were probably already on life support and were probably already on the way out in the short term or the long term. But the way that Wizards of the Coast has been handling stuff lately, especially towards those smaller stores and those that still survive to this day, is a bit detestable, and it makes me want to support them that much less. But, you know, whatever. I'm still buying the cards. There's a lot of local game stores in my area. I live in Portland, Oregon. In fact, I think there's more game stores now than there ever has been, so I could be completely incorrect with what I'm saying in the context of where I live. Where you may live, who knows? Your favorite game store might be gone forever, and you might not have a viable alternative, and you have no one to play with, so you just have cards that sit in your closet and collect dust. That's honestly heartbreaking. Again, it's just the way that it is, and we may end up getting a new generation of card shop owners rising from the ashes of what was, but until then, we kind of just have to ride it out and see what happens with our local game stores. Hopefully you have a place to play at. Luckily I do. And, you know, that sums it up, honestly. We've pretty much hit most of the stuff that I want to talk about. The one last point that I want to make, though, is that we're nowhere near done. We're going to keep seeing changes in the future. We're going to see fundamental changes that are probably will render this video completely irrelevant. Maybe in 6 months, maybe in 5 years, who knows? But don't get comfortable. Don't expect things to stay the same, because they won't. Ever. Whether it's in Magic or life in general. Who knows? Maybe after you finish watching this video, you may end up dying. Who knows? God, that's really dark. Can't believe I just said that. But anyways, I hope the point that I made comes across very well. I got something in my eye. I don't feel like spending 10 minutes here trying to get it out of my eye, and then my eye looks all fucked up for the rest of the video. Anyways, my name is Stacy Snackies. You all have been wonderful. Thank you for sticking with me all these years, the very few of you that do. I love and appreciate all of you, and I'm really glad to see a lot of my more dedicated people still comment in the comment section. Really means a lot to me. Anyways, I'll catch you on the flip side.